guy in downtown Louisville laying in the gutter, covered in his own urine, trying to call me the N-word and trying to get a reaction out of me. And I'm like, what are you going to do about it, dude? You know what I'm going to do? Nothing. I'm going to step over him as he's laying in his gutter, get in my company car and drive to my nice house.
There you go. There you go. Brother Horowitz, I'm going to give you the last word, and then we got to conclude it.
I'm going to buy Dexter's book because like 20 or 30 years ago, since I was raised by communists, so I was part of the civil rights struggle from the time I was 9 years old, which is a very long time ago. But I realize, and I've written several books just on the race issue, and trying to restore sanity to the discussion. But I realized 20 or 30 years ago, and said that my words cannot make the difference. I can influence people, but until there's a Black leadership that comes forward and stands up the way Dexter is standing up, nothing's going to happen. So I take
Amen.
I appreciate it.
Real confidence from that in the future of our country.
Amen.
Because the emergence of an articulate, courageous, the big thing here, of course, people, is courage. The left cannot, they can wound you with words. If you're afraid of being called a racist, or if you're called names, you can't fight this war. But there are so many people now who are standing up for what they can see is the truth, rather than for what the left is trying to sell.
Those are perfect. Those are perfect words to end this interview on. And I want to urge my listeners, please go to Amazon.com, check out, buy.
Could I add one thing? I meant
yes.
I've taken out an ad for my book, I Can't Breathe. And I had my researcher look up the number of cops who've been killed since the death of Floyd because of this hate campaign against police. I was shocked that there have been 973 policemen murdered.
Oh, yeah.
All that blood is on the heads of Black Lives Matter and the Democrat Party for encouraging this nonsense. You want to talk about a hate movement? That's what Black Lives Matter is. It goes so far. In my book, I described, you remember there was a demonstration in Dallas, and a maniac, he was a veteran,
oh yeah,
Black guy, assassinated 5 police officers. And Patrice Cullors, who's the founder of Black Lives Matter, I read her book. And in her book, he was blown up by a robot because he was holed up inside a college and firing it, trying to kill more people and more police. And she turned him into a victim. First person blown up by a robot, ignoring the fact that the guy who gave the order was the Black police chief of Dallas.
Yeah.
And this guy was a homicidal maniac.
You know what? I actually wrote about that in my book as well, because I carried that with me during the protests. My biggest fear was getting set up in an ambush like that in the middle of the street. And it actually happened. We had 2 of our officers shot in September of 2020. And I will never forget that day getting off the bus and those shots rang out. We were caught in the middle of a parking lot. And lo and behold, it's not just 2 officers. It's a Black officer and a white officer. Yes. And the assailant is Black, shooting a Black officer and a white officer. It's just, you can't make this stuff up. But that whole Dallas incident, man, that still sticks with me to this day.
All right. Guys, I want to thank you both. I want to say to my listeners again, Radical Son, David Horowitz, Amazon.com. Dexter Pitts, I Am Pitts, Amazon.com. Folks, we got to buy books like this. And as Brother Horowitz points out, we've got to not only buy books like I Am Pitts, but buy an extra copy and share them with folks. give them out as birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, whatever. Particularly the young people. They've got to be. They got to hear from people like Brother Dex. Just like, my generation, my father's generation, they heard about Booker T. Washington, and it made a major difference. Guys, I want to thank you both. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Another was on I would like to be able to contact Dex. I'd like to send you 10 copies of I Can't Breathe for your fellow officers. It's got
absolutely
a lot of ammunition. Right on.
Yes.
We'll make that happen, brother. No problem. We'll make that happen. Thank you, guys. Thank you both. I'll be in touch.
Thanks, Corbin. Thanks, Doc.